は任せるといい。俺の邪魔をするな。小手調べはここまでできる。面倒事は任せるといい。面倒事は任せるといい。俺の邪魔をするな。
Hi everyone, this is Dango from Rocky Valley server. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to build Leonhardt in APEX Arena and how do you counter him. So we all know that Leonhardt is a very strong character in APEX Arena because right now with 2 AoE from Leonhardt, he can possibly kill your squishy unit and healers. And when you do kill, when he do kill your healers, then whoever is using Leonhardt is going to take the win. So this is why that he is very strong. And yeah, so we're just going to start talking about how do you build Leonhardt. So the first type of Leonhardt is to actually use Blood Sword paired with APEX boots. So here, the Blood Sword will provide you extra damage. You can see here it has attack plus 5%, and then it will deal extra fixed damage after you use the AoE skill. So this basically helps you to kill your enemy after you launch the AoE attack. And this APEX boot provides some attack and also extra mobility. Now this extra mobility is very important because, you know, this AoE skill, is like 2 rings near your Leonhardt, and this is a land skill with like 5 blocks. These are like good ranges, but like still not ideal. So with these APEX boots, Leonhardt can move one extra spot so that you can position your Leonhardt better to launch these 2 AoE skills so that he can actually kill. So this is why when you use the Blood Sword, you have to pair it with the APEX boots. So what if you don't have APEX boots? Then here comes the other build of Leonhardt. Actually, I will search for one of the very strong player in Crossroads server as an example. Yeah, this is a very strong player, and his Leonhardt is a very typical build, like when you don't have APEX boots. And I mean, he cannot have APEX boots because he started later. Like when he started in Crossroads server, I think he just didn't have a chance to get these APEX boots. But this build can still work if you don't have APEX boots, right? This is instead of using a Blood Sword, here you are using a range sword. And what do we mean by range sword? Because the effect is the AO scale effect range plus 1. And particularly this sword is actually what you get from a gear summon. Now this is this is maybe the option for Veils, but there is also a free-to-play version of this sword. I think the name is called Balanced Blade. Yeah, and it has exactly the same effect, DF defense and magic defense plus 5%, and AoE skill range plus 1. So with that, even you don't have the APEX boots to help you gain extra mobility, this sword will actually allow you have plus 1 range for all of your AoE skill. So this fusion here, instead of just be a 2-block scale, it now becomes 3-block scale, which is actually a very huge range. If you remember the video that I showed in the beginning, I was actually using this range sword instead of using APEX boots. So my Leonhardt had that very huge range of fusion. And now the other scale, Zero Storm, it used to have only like 1 block around yourself. Now it becomes 2 blocks around yourself. So it is still like not a huge range as like fusion, but then 2 blocks around yourself is still a very decent range. And the third scale you will always carry is this instant transfer. Like no matter you are using APEX boots with Blood Sword, or you are using like you are using the AOE sword with some just a random like attack accessory, then yeah, you will always bring this instant transfer skill, because this is essentially the same with the teleport. You will get you will like position your Leonhardt easily with this instant transfer skill. So no matter you are using the Blood Sword with APX boots, or this AOE sword with any basically any attack accessory, you will all use this instant transfer plus 2 AOE. So when you are using the AOE sword, the 2 AOE that you are using will be mostly fusion and this zero storm, because this zero storm with this AOE range sword will have 2 blocks, which is a very it's a decent range. But if you are using the blood sword build, then the skill you will usually carry will be actually this length range AOE skill. So instead of using the zero storm, you will actually use this LAN AOE skill. And in some special case, like if your enemy is not using any tank and you just want to kill one of the very critical characters, instead of using the other AOE, you can actually bring Air Slash. This is actually a very powerful single target skill as well. So Leonhardt is very strong because you have a choice of using 2 AOE skill or just one AOE skill, and then you can move again and then launch a very strong single target skill. It has 1.5 damage. So this is basically how will you build and use Leonhardt in APEX Arena. I think next I will also cover a little bit about how you build the armor and headgear for your Leonhardt. So actually, basically this carbon fiber armor works very well with Leonhardt, because usually what you will do is that you teleport your Leonhardt up front, and maybe your enemy will attack you, and if they cannot kill you, which is in most of the case, if you have high training for your troops, they shouldn't one-shot your Leonhardt. And then, when your unit's health point is below 50%, you will gain extra attack and skill, and this makes your Leonhardt very, very dangerous. So, carbon fiber gear sets, like both the carbon fiber armor and carbon fiber headgear, are very typical choice for Leonhardt. But there is a better option for Leonhardt for the headgear, which is Reaper's Brace. And this is because it synthesizes very well with Leonhardt's double AOE strategy. Because like when you try to use double AOE strategy, or when you are just bring one AOE and one single target skill, your goal is always to kill some units. And after you kill some units, this will bring some a debuff to your enemy. Basically, they will lose a fixed damage of health point after they move. So this Reaper's Brace works very well like with your objective of Leonhardt, which is to actually kill others. So now I'm going to cover a little bit about some alternative gears that you can use for your Leonhardt if you don't have his like best gears. So for weapons, you can also use this Seal Guardian if you don't have Blood Sword and you don't have this AOE sword. Seal Guardian will provide you some attack and defense, so which are both very essential for Leonhardt. Your Leonhardt wants to launch a very high damage attack, and he wants to survive before he launch any attacks. So this is not a bad choice for him as well. And for armors, you can actually have plenty of choice. Like you can still use Bloodline Magic Armor for your Leonhardt, or you can use Mirror Armor for your Leonhardt to take some damage. Yeah, this is also the other choice that you can use. And for helmet here, besides the Reaper's Brace, as we discussed before, carbon fiber set can always be useful. And basically those are the two ideal gears you want to use. But other SSR gears are actually still okay with Leonhardt. And for accessories, if you are using the if you are using the blood sword, actually you really need to have the APEX boots. But if you don't, if you are using the AoE sword on the other hand, then you can use any like attack accessories. For example, this Winged Shin Guard is pretty good, and this Judge Talisman is pretty good. And you also use Slayer's Emblem, which is also not a bad choice for him. So basically, those are the gears that you can use for your Leonhardt. Again, I don't recommend you to use SR gears for him because you still want to maximize his damage. And in this case, that also means that your enchantment for your Leonhardt should also be decent. For example, if you see my enchant here, I'm using a breeze enchant and I have this 369 green for my attack, which is okay, I think above a little bit above average, but this is kind of the acceptable range for your Leonhardt. You probably want to have at least like 350 for this green, for this green number, like when your Leonhardt is 5-star. Yeah, this grants your Leonhardt enough attack so that he can actually kill your enemy. So yeah, and for enchantment, besides the breeze, which always help you in positioning, you can also try magic and clock with Leonhardt. Those are the other two enchantments that can be used for Leonhardt. Some people also recommend you to build Leonhardt with Full Moon. I don't really recommend you to build Full Moon Leonhardt because the damage that bring from Full Moon is not as high as Breeze or Magic. And as for the function, the Full Moon basically has no particular function for your Leonhardt compared to the Breeze enchantment or the Clock enchantment. So generally speaking, I don't recommend you to do the Full Moon build. And now we will talk also a little bit about how do you deal with Leonhardt in APEX battle. So we know that when your enemy is picking a Leonhardt, he basically wants his Leonhardt to kill your healers or kill you some squishy units. So basically, the best way to counter Leonhardt is to actually just build up your healers and bring enough healers and make sure that all your units will not die after double AoE attack. And also, be careful that when you see your enemy picks Leonhardt, you want to have a tank, right? If you don't have a tank, their Leonhardt can just bring one AoE and one single target attack, and basically he can kill anybody he wants. Because with one AoE, one very strong AoE, which is fusion, he can also remove your two buffs, and then followed by a very strong single target AoE attack. I don't think much character can survive these two combo. So when so basically, here is the thing: when your enemy picks Leonhardt, you want to make sure that you have one tank. Ideally, it would be Jugular. Jugular is actually a huge counter to Leonhardt. But if they ban your Jugular, you still want to pick a tank. It can be like Landius, which is also pretty ideal, or it can be like Boron or even Lading. But you definitely want to have a tank, and you also want to pick the units who can survive the double AoE from Leonhardt. And this usually requires them to have more health points than like 7,000 or 7,500 around these health points. So if you have a tank and your unit can survive after the 2 AoE attack, then you also want to have at least 2 healers so that they can heal up your team. And actually, when you do have the team that can survive Leonhardt's AoE attack and then you can heal up afterwards, you can actually take the win. Even they use Leonhardt to initiate you. So this is the very fundamental thing you want to do to deal with Leonhardt in APEX Arena. The other thing is that you want to be very careful when they already picked Leonhardt. Because when they pick Leonhardt, even their Leonhardt did not kill all of your team, they can still launch a follow AoE attack, which can also be, very deadly to your team. And the most common followed AoE attack are from Varna or Bernhard or Joshua. Joshua has a very long-range AoE scale, and Warner has a very long range. She can fly five slots, and then she can cast aim and fly another 2 spots, and then cast this arrow, this thousandth arrow, which is very strong. Yeah, Leonhardt comboed with Warner can be deadly to your team. And also Bernhardt is another very strong combo. So if Bernhardt triggered Blitz and Leonhardt just cast the double AoE on you, and then you heal, you heal up a little bit, then Burn just come to your team and do this sword dance, and then just kill your special unit, and then heal block. So which is very deadly to you. So be very careful, when your enemy pick the Leonhardt, try not to give them like Bernhardt and Warner and Joshua. Yeah, the other thing to counter Leonhardt is to actually kill Leonhardt before he reaches to you. And this is actually becoming harder and harder because, Leonhardt has a very strong troop, which is Highland Warrior. And unless you are bringing like Leon to counter Leonhardt, Leonhardt will always use this Highland Warrior, because this Highland Warrior has this 15% damage decrease, as well as here there is a tag called Emergency Treatment, which can also reduce 20% damage taken when the health is at 80% or higher. Yeah, so this basically means that if Leonhardt is bringing these troops, it is very hard for you to just one-shot Leonhardt. But there is just one exception, which is definitely just Zoraida. So actually, the only stable way to kill Leonhardt is to use a suicide build of Zoraida. So basically, you can just the enemy Zoraida will just use this killing ball and use this bloodthirster. Yeah, they will kill. You can kill your troops first and then cast this killing ball to Leonhardt. This is the only stable way that you can kill Leonhardt. But the other way that to deal with Leonhardt is to, maybe you can't kill him, but you can deal sufficient debuff on him, which makes Rennie very useful, right? Because Rennie has this super long range, this Committee Throne. This can bring like 2 debuff to your enemy, and from Ren's talent, she can have 2 more extra debuff. So if one of the debuff is silence, or the debuff is damage dealt minus 20%, then he cannot cast AoE at all, or his AoE cannot kill you. So basically, Ren is the other very good counter to Leonhardt. Although you need to count RNG a little bit, but we all know that this game is heavily based on RNG. So if your RNG can help you win a game, that's not terrible, right? Ren can cast up to 4 debuff or 5 debuff you are using Miracle Wand. So that's not a small number. Usually, Ren can just stop Leonhardt from destroying your team, and then you can find wins if you survived his double AoE, or you just silence him and kill him later. So basically, those are the counters. So you can counter Leonhardt from pick and ban. Make sure that Leonhardt will not have lots of AoE combos to follow up. And I forgot to mention Listel. Listel and Leonhardt can be a very deadly combo as well, because Listel can actually block your team from healings. So after they fingered your healers, and then Leonhardt launched double AoE, your team is probably it's basically dead. So you want to make sure that when they pick Leonhardt, do not give them other characters who can combo with Leonhardt, and also try to build your healers so that they can actually survive a double AoE, which means your healers will have more than 7,500 health points when enter the PvP battle. And do know that you will gain like 40% more health points when you enter a PvP battle compared to PvE battle. So so just basically calculate, if your healers have more than 7,500 health points, entering a PvP battle, then your healers are probably fine, and you probably want to have one tank when your enemy pick Leonhardt, and you probably want to have two healers, or at least one healer and one semi healer. So when I mean semi healer, I mean like Ritual who can like heal after attack, or like Grace. Yeah, these are considered semi healers. And the other thing you can do is that you can try to debuff Leonhardt with Rini, or even with Joshua may also like debuff Leonhardt from far away, and yeah, or just kill him with Doreda, which will unlikely to happen because Doreda is very high in ban list, so your enemy will likely to ban your Doreda when they pick their Leonhardt. But yeah, but you feel like if you cannot deal with Leonhardt, like your healers are far behind, you cannot have a very strong healer like anytime soon, then you probably want to ban Leonhardt. That's the other way you can do. I mean, APEX battle, from 15 characters, you have plenty of options to ban their characters. So ban Leonhardt is also not a bad option to do. So that's all basically about how to use Leonhardt and how to counter Leonhardt briefly. Yeah, I will like upload some videos about how I countered Leonhardt and how I used Leonhardt later. Yeah, and I think my next video will be about how to use Zoreda in APEX Arena. Thanks for watching.